Finally putting on performance mods because I finally ran out of cosmetic mods to do. Anyways, we'll start off something simple. This is a cold air intake from Corsa. Carbon fiber assembly, promises that it makes 44 horsepower. We're gonna dyno everything next month when I go get the pulley and belt installed by LS experts here in Atlanta. So while we're there, we're gonna dyno the car and see how much these actually live up to their promise. So we'll get to it when we get to it, and I'll get back to you guys on that about a month from now. Now the next mod is the NX Supercharger lid. This is supposed to improve cooling at about 25 or so horsepower, but more importantly, it's supposed to add a lot more supercharger whine, as well as allowing integrated ports for meth or nitrous in the future. I'm obviously not going to use either of those anytime soon, but it's nice to have those as a thought for the future. Most likely I would go meth injection if I had to. But like I said, we're starting simple. We're going to build her all natural first. I'm currently removing the supercharger lid. I'm on 5 right now. I'm going to say that for my own memory's sake. And you actually have to remove it in a very specific pattern. So it just got finished. I'm actually on 6 because I just got finished doing that one. So we're gonna keep on going. This is the boring part. I'm not gonna take too much of your time. If you ever wondered what the supercharger underneath the lid looks like, here you go. So that's the actual supercharger assembly. These are just intercooler bricks. There's actually 2 of them, 1 on each side. The earlier Z06 models had smaller versions of these, and that's probably what caused a lot of overheating. There's some oil around here, so I'm gonna go wipe it down. I'm also gonna wipe the car down. As for the lids, here's the new one. Nice, shiny. It is a lot lighter weight. It is significantly lighter in weight. This one is so bulky. And this one's finish makes it look like it's plastic. Whereas this one's finish actually has a shine to it like metal. A lot of this is actually a sound dampener plate, because a lot of vet owners hate the sound of whining, because you know the target demographic that buys this car. In my opinion, if I buy a boosted car, I want to hear the boost from it, whether it's a supercharger or turbocharger. So even without that sound dampener plate, this whole design is just made to be a lot quieter than this one. And like I said, it's heavier, it's more restrictive, it's not as good for heat because of how thick it is compared to the other one. But this one also has ports for meth and nitrous injection. The stock one obviously doesn't. It also has a little groove down the middle. I'm gonna have to clean this one before I install. I'm gonna clean this one, even though I might never use it again just because I want to clean it. And there we have it. Everything is fully installed and torqued down. As you can see, satisfying clicking sound. Now, when it comes to engine components, you want to invest in a torque wrench. So I retorqued everything down to 10 Newton meters. Did it in the exact pattern, but reverse this time to install it. Your fingers, you can't just feel it out. It's an engine component. You tighten too hard with your fingers, you're gonna crack stuff. You tighten too little and it starts to come off while driving and lets oil start leaking everywhere, and that because it's a supercharger cover in this case where oil would start leaking out. And I've seen lots of my friends who try to just finger tighten things, and bleh, things always turn out bad for them. They try to blame the world, but they know damn well it was their own fault for not using the right tools. But it is looking clean. It's really nice to see a modded engine bay for once. Beautiful carbon fiber Corsa intake. I thought about removing this, but when I googled forums, they said it doesn't really, this part doesn't weigh much, it's rubberized plastic, and removing it doesn't really improve your heat extraction. What it does do is destroy your aero that goes through there and over your car, and I'm not gonna risk losing aero and increasing my drag for the sake of just showing off my Corsa more. So yeah, it's a bit unfortunate that it blocks my Corsa, but it is what it is. We've got a lot more performance mods coming up. I gotta change my belt soon and pulley. Probably gonna do valve covers as well. We gotta clear out all this space because I still need to fit a new intercooler capacity tank so we don't heat soak as much. God and anime on my side. All right, now that we got that meme done, this has exceeded my expectations. I was hoping to just hear my supercharger again. I wasn't expecting to hear it scream. Even with my long tube headers, my mid pipe, and my custom axle back exhaust, I can still hear my supercharger very prominently up to 4K RPM. That's a lot more than I can say for stock. When the car was stock, even with the stock exhaust, 4 catalytic converters on it, and even if I put it on touring mode, I can maybe only hear the supercharger between 1800 to 2500 RPM. I did not expect this and this combined to whine that much. This alone didn't whine that much, you know. When I installed it on its own, I drove around for a bit, probably made my supercharger like 5 to 10% louder. That's really hard for me to even quantify that, but it did make it a little bit more noticeable, because without that or this, with my headers only, I literally just couldn't hear my supercharging. I just never did. For all I knew, most people thought I was NA because of that. Once I had this on, I actually heard it, you know, just a little, just kind of peek around the corner, but this and this really brought it to life. It did not disappoint me. I am completely satisfied with my purchase. Now, as you've probably noticed from pictures of my car and other videos, yeah, I changed the rear. A lot of people already knew, and I knew it myself. The Aventador taillights caused overheating, and I knew that going into the reinstallation. Once I removed it, transmission cooling just went back to normal, because the Corvette's Z06 models aren't supposed to even have transmission cooling issues. That's just something that's not even a problem. So the fact that I was having issues because of those taillights, and because I'm now performance building my car, I was like, yeah, let's take them off. As you can probably tell, I'm committing myself to performance mods. I basically don't really care about cosmetic mods. I basically cosmetic modded my car so much, I'd actually go, you know that meme where it's like upgrade, 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 go back? That's what I had to do. I had to go back on this. So because I changed from those pointy taillights, I had to also get rid of my louvers, because the louvers, they look good with the taillights together. On their own, they look really weird, because then they become the only pointy shaped object on the rear. And I'll put a picture up of what I mean. So I used to have this with the louvers on. I could actually just take a picture when I get home and just put my, because I still have my louvers, I can just put them on my car without taping them down, and it looks weird. As for this design, this is just the Jake skull. This is inspired by Corvette Team Racing. This rear in general is, so Corvette Team Racing cars have blacked out rears, and then I just put Jake's skull on it. I wanted it to be blue because I want my entire car to have blue, black, and white on every single part of it. Still have that exhaust. I'm not changing that exhaust tip because it's a trapezoid shape, just like my taillights and just like my window and just like the diffuser. And also because that shoots massive flames. If I move back to the regular quad exhaust, they're too far apart where the few gaps between the quad tips don't let them combine and become a big flame. That's a childish reason, but hey, you gotta admit, it's pretty cool. You gotta assert dominance, you know? On a finishing note, some of you guys may have noticed my fitment looks a lot better. I went from having 5, so I used to be able to fist my rear wheel well. Not anymore, it's only 2-finger fitment. And the front, I used to be able to do 4-finger. Check this out, only 2-finger. So I moved up the sidewall yet again. I'm actually higher than stock ride height right now. So I did not lower my car, I actually just got taller tires. And then I'm actually gonna lower my car back down about 3/4 of an inch because I gained 0.9 inches of ride height because the overall diameter of these tires is 1.8 inches. So 0.9 went up, the other 0.9 goes down and becomes ride height. I don't like the idea of riding higher than stock because I feel like that does mess up my car's aerodynamic geometry and how air goes underneath it and how it's designed to. So we're gonna lower it back to stock basically and completely eliminate the wheel gap while being able to go over speed bumps still. And that's a win for me. So I'll be able to finally have no more wheel gap while also still being very drivable. They're not run flats either. They're Michelin Pilot Sport 4Ss. So for reference, the stock tires are the Super Sports. In my case, I had a Z07. I had Cup 2s. Those lasted all of 10,000 miles. I haven't seen those since. I've been on Super Sports, which were just the ones that are in Grand Sports and I think regular Z06s. I used those for 30,000 miles. Wasn't a big fan of the Super Sports, if I'm being honest. They didn't ride very well because they're run flats and they have very itty bitty sidewalls. So you hit anything, you lose your wheel. And I think that's kind of stupid. So moving up more sidewall, got a lot more beef, fills up your wheel well. It just looks more natural too. I don't like the way small tires look. It's definitely an acquired taste, but I think they look really nice and cool. Much nicer. You actually ride on these, oh my God. The ride quality's changed a lot.